Hello beauties, Shaz here, and we're going to do another 2 Hour Not to Buy today. This is a special edition because in this one we're going to do over a month of 2 Hour Not to Buy and new makeup releases that maybe in the makeup world are no longer considered as new releases. And I'm going to tell you why I'm not buying them, and I'm going to try and inspire you to also not buy them. Hopefully you haven't bought them already. I know I don't need any new makeup. I don't even have the budget for new makeup. So let's get into it. Okay friends, so don't forget a thumbs up if you like these kinds of videos, or so if you're excited that I'm back. I know some of you were so nice to me, wrote to me on Insta or here asking me where I was. A lot of stuff in my life, and ironically I'm still in Austin and I'm still in Texas, but things might change because I still don't have a job. Also, some of the stuff that have happened in the past month and a half impacted my life, my family's life, and so on, like our 12-day war with the Middle East. And this is probably the only political thing I'm going to say in this channel. When there's a war going on, there are real people who are impacted. Those people are not pawns. They're real human beings, even if they live halfway across the world. If the intro wasn't explanatory enough, I'm going to do 3 looks in this video because we're going to cover a month and a half of new makeup releases that are some at this point old news. First look is going to be with this one. I think this dupe is already available on this channel, and then the last 2 eye looks are going to be with my dupe of Ocean Jewel from Bella Beaute Bar. Coffee as always. I actually have 2 coffees because it's one of those days. And without further ado, let's get started. Let's talk about this one. This is a restock of Simplicity from Mika Beauty Shop. I don't even remember this palette. Do you all remember this palette? From Blend Bunny, these products, it seems like this is a Masterclass Pro inspired collection released. It says by Jordan Liberty. I'm guessing this is a collab. Interesting and noteworthy, although I don't have a price, but Blend Bunny usually is pretty decently priced. However, none of this is my type of thing. You know, that face palette I don't really use, and I have enough face stuff. Face brushes, I have way more than enough face brushes for how much I use stuff on my face outside of the eyeshadows. We have Bella Beaute Bar releasing 6-pan and 12-pan magnetic palettes. I have expressed interest in these in the past, but in hindsight, they're plastic. And I'm not a fan of plastic, separate from the fact that it is harder to store and ensure it remains intact, doesn't break, doesn't chip, things like that. It's not good for the environment. So let's move on. But the thing that I like about it is that you can see the inside from outside. That's one of the issues I have with palettes is, you know, I use a lot of my palettes for duping things and I can't see what's in them from the outside. So it's nice that in these ones you can. But I'm imagining that the size of these are probably the 26 millimeter, which then means if you're making a palette like this where you have different size pans, that's going to be an issue. Let's get into some colors, beauties. Holo Taco has released the Pixel Perfect collection. And I've seen swatches of this and they look so pretty. Again, on a no buy or low buy, not buying now, but definitely one of those things that's going on my to purchase list when Holo Taco is having a sale. And now that we're talking about nails, I am wearing Stumped, which is a beautiful shade from Mooncat. Getting started on the look before I get too carried away, I'm using Glam Light Primer. We have this palette from Titanium Foxes. Nice color combination, but still very neutral for me. I also feel like I've seen this palette before, possibly even from Titanium Foxes. Is Titanium Foxes magnetic? Let me know if you know. And because I can dupe all of these palettes, if you are interested in any of them, let me know. Let's get started on the look. I almost feel obligated to use this side of the palette. So let's use this, the light teal shade in my crease. And beauties, another thing I wanted to mention, I purposefully wore this shirt because a lot of times I tell you all the pastels wash me out. Now this shirt is not exactly a pastel, it's actually a muted down shade, meaning it's a pastel that has gray mixed in it. I wore it on purpose today because I wanted to show you all that this shade does not make me look as good as, for example, if you looked at my last videos, if I had worn deep teal or black or even magenta shades. I can do a video on color seasons. I don't entirely believe in color seasons myself, but there's some truth to certain shades bringing out your features, and these kinds of shades don't necessarily do that for me. And that's why I wanted to sort of wear this to demonstrate to you. It kind of washes me out. Can you all see that? Or is it just me when I look at the videos where I've worn this shirt? Let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you want to see me do videos on color seasons. I'm now picking another, this is also a Glam Shop brush. I'm gonna go into this one. You could also use the brown. I'm not a huge brown person. I'm not a huge neutral person. You all know this. So, but if you feel like this is already way too colorful, that's also a possibility. Now with another brush from Glam Shop, I'm going to do something that's a little scandalous. Hopefully it's not going to be too bad. I'm going to pick this flat brush from Sydney Grace, and I'm going to go into this pink shade. Now, pink is a mix of purple, which is red in it, and with the teal that has green in it, they're complements, so it could muddy up the green. But in order to not really feed into the muddying, I'm gonna use it at the edge. So I'm not really mixing it, but where they do mix, you could see a little bit of muddiness, and we're gonna be okay with that because that's just the nature of the beast. Another shade you could use to blend it with, you could use any of these lighter mattes and you'd be fine. Now with a fluffy brush also in that pink shade, I'm gonna bring this up. The next thing I want to talk about is a collab between Adventure Time and Lethal Cosmetics. This collab has a whole lot of things in it, and the palette is pretty summery and colorful, so can't complain there. But these palettes that look like they're just a jumble of all kinds of shades are generally not something that I even gravitate towards for duping. But if you want me to dupe this, I can. Lethal is a brand I like to try at some point, but it's just not a priority brand for me because they don't primarily release singles. The brands that I'm focusing on per my 2025 low buy video tagged are brands that have magnetic palettes or primarily magnetic singles. Does Lethal have magnetic palettes? To my understanding, they don't. The next thing I'm gonna do is to go into this beautiful, very muted down yellow. This is a perfect shade for lightening up the inner corner and opening up your eyes. You could do this look as a much more simple look, not include the mauve, and just take this matte yellow across the lid and it would become a gorgeous all matte look. You all know how much I love all matte looks. We have something from Tammy Tanuka, y'all. I haven't heard from Tammy Tanuka in years because of the whole situation with Russia. We have this palette, Salt Mint Bay. How do you order Tammy Tanuka from the US, y'all? This is a brand I've been wanting to try for years. I've heard amazing things about them. If y'all figured out how I can get my hands on these kinds of products from them, let me know. Give Me Glow is releasing holochromes. And from the photos, now again, all of these photos are enhanced. I can attest, based on having bought a lot of these products, now I don't have this, but other incumbent products, that everything I've purchased did not look exactly the same as the photos. And they're videotaped with particular types of lenses and cameras and lighting to make it look way shiftier than it might be with just naked eye. I'm only hoping that they are actually as holochromy as they look and that they're not crunchy holochrome. You know, I don't want to put anything crunchy on my eyes, and that they're creamy. Going to continue using specular. I've been using this one but recently a lot because this is going here. Actually, between the pink one and the blue one, I feel like the blue one is really gonna make it stand out. The pink one is gonna be a different look. I kind of use the pink so that I use this pink, but I feel like the blue is gonna just look better. So let's use the blue. This is Vert from Cliona. I have a full video, a reveal and swatches and everything of this palette. Okay, beauties, the look is done. I used Snow White lipstick from Colourpop. And the last one, but definitely not least, Ocean Jewel palette from Bella Beaute Bar. This palette's supposed to have 7 multichrome shimmers, including 1 holochrome, 1 duochrome shimmer, 11 mattes, and 1 sequin matte, which I think is one of the shades from the top that looks like it has tiny glitters. Again, we never talk about plastic glitters in this channel, so mica-based glitters, or at least tiny shimmery particles inside. I've already duped this palette for you all, and because I've already duped the palette, I'm not gonna go buy it. I knew I can dupe this. I'm actually not super excited about it, because even from the swatches, I feel like I have multiple dupes for those shimmers. This palette, you all, reminded me of 2 palettes released from Fantasy Cosmetica. Yes, not 1, but 2. The Harvest of Souls and the one that was blue and yellow that I did not purchase. Also, this palette did look like it has a lot of shades in common with Bejeweled, which is another palette that I have from Bella Beaute Bar. Now, this palette I've kind of depotted, so some of the shades are not here at the moment, but some of these blues, some of these shimmers, I feel like a lot of them look like they exist in that palette. So again, y'all, you don't need to buy every palette just because it looks beautiful. Look through what you already own. Maybe you have a dupe for it. Maybe you only need to add a few shades to a palette that's like 90% the same. If you manage to talk yourself out of buying anything this week that you really wanted to pick up but you said no to, write to me in the comments below. I love to hear your stories about saying no to the makeup consumerism that's out there. Don't forget to check out my duping videos, or if you enjoy the to buy or not to buy videos, my playlist is going to be recommended to you at the end of this video. Beauties, before I get into it, I have some coffee, and I have the sugar donut and hot coffee candle because not enough coffee in my life right now. Let's jump in because there was a whole lot of stuff. The first thing I want to talk about is the summer stuff coming from Terra Moons, and you all know that brand is on my list of things to buy. 10 new multichromes and 2 holographics. I don't have prices. Not something I'm gonna run to pick up again. I'm on a very, very tight budget that's getting tighter by the month because of the whole job situation, but I have a feeling the first thing I'm going to do as soon as I get a job is to put like a, I don't know, $2,000 order somewhere, just because I've been, probably wouldn't do that. An order of Terra Moons is coming, just not now. And separate from being on a low budget, I'm also following a low buy plan. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a video about it. Glaminatrix, y'all, they have a whole lot of stuff, so let's get them out of the way because I don't want this video to be super long. Brushes, they're a maybe for me. You know, I feel like Glaminatrix is going to be one of those brands that I'm going to just one day put this giant order from. Ordering a whole lot of singles, maybe a couple of palettes, and then who knows, maybe even brushes. But I don't need no brushes, y'all. $78 for a pack. How many brushes are in there? For a pack of 8. I mean, if I wanted to splurge, yes, maybe I would go buy, but I have really good high quality brushes I bought from Refer and other brands, and I should just use those. You know, I should just use those. Okay, this one. So when I saw this one, I thought to myself, interesting, because this in one flash reminds me of Aurora Struck. Kind of muted down, cool toned, neutral leaning shades, right? But then in a second look, this palette is like 90% neutrals and white or iridescent multichromes that look white. So I literally, that first column, I don't really even know what's so special about that column. And in all the other shades, maybe there is like 5 color shades and the rest is just neutrals. this is not something you need. You probably have this. And I love Glaminatrix a lot. You all know that. And I'm saying this with all the love in my heart. Also, who needs matte black? Who needs matte black? Why is there a matte black in this palette? I kind of feel like they've been having a matte black in a lot of their palettes, and you don't need that. And yeah, Glaminatrix has been very active these days. They also released, you remember this thing that was their April Fool's joke? Yeah, it's released. I feel unsure about this palette because honestly, I feel like this palette is a variation of all of the neutral palettes they have released. So if you have those, you have this. You have this. If you have Sugar and Spice, this might have some additional shades. You probably don't need this. If you have Nearly Neutral, same thing. You probably don't need this. And just a name. I just can't. Even the thought of putting poop on my eyes. I'm going to use a bunch of random ones, and here I have on my desk. I'm just going to use whatever I have on my desk. I have this Glam Shop primer. We have this new product alert, Summer Multichromes collection from MBA. Now you all know I have tried MBA in the past. 2 or so years ago, did not have the best luck with their stuff. I'll tag the video somewhere, but I am at a point of trying them again, not as a high priority brand, but if they release something that was very exciting, I wouldn't mind trying them again. These look very muted down and pastelish, and you all know how I feel about that. So this one got me thinking. 6 new holochromes from Touch of Glam. It is a brand that's on my radar. There are things that they have released recently that I have been eyeing. I have a few of their collections that I liked, that I purchased in the past, that I use very frequently in my duping. So saying that to say, this did make me do a double take. And I know if I have a job this year, I'm going to be making an order from them during a sale. And they frequently have sales for 30 to 40% off, although their prices are normally high. So excited to see this stuff, but perhaps not for my budget. I'm actually excited about using this palette because you all know I like mermaidy kind of vibes. Taking this shade out here and kind of into the crease, but not all the way. Look at how pigmented this is. That is actually from a palette that I forgot I had, and it's magnetic. So we'll talk about it when you see my dupe video. I'm now going to use a smaller brush. This is actually from Glam Shop, and I'm going to go into this beautiful deep blue and deepen this part. If you see a little bit of like lack of blending, I will blend it more. And I'm also going to use the same brush under the lash line. So part of the reason I've been away, if you're curious, the market is picking up. It's actually looking better now in terms of tech jobs. Although the layoffs continue to happen, I've been getting a lot more interviews, and I'm advancing a lot to final rounds. I just haven't gotten an offer yet. Who knows what's going on, and if these companies are even really hiring, or these are just fake jobs. I am going to use something a little bit less fluffy in here, and I'm gonna blend this lower lash with it a little bit to diffuse it out. We have the Custom palette from Shop Edge Beauty, 6 shades that kind of look neonish, and you can get the sort of a 6-pound package with it. I suppose it says for free. Okay. I have these shades in other palettes, so I don't think you do either, but I would like to try Edge Beauty at some point, just not this. Are these glitters from Beauty Moon? It says Stone Tears. Holographic glitters. Nope, not doing glitters. I don't do loose things, whether they're eye safe or not, because I'm just this horrible, messy human. It's going to get everywhere. And yeah, I'm talking about Beauty Moon. They also have done the Medusa palette, which looks like a palette I've seen before. Where have we seen this before? This looks very, very familiar and a little redundant. You don't need 4 matte teals. And then we have a Dia Verone. This is their second Dewdrops, something that is exciting and I kind of was waiting for, but from the swatch photos and videos I've seen, I can't see why this is so special. I almost feel like the stuff they've had in the past was more special. Maybe they need to do better quality videos. This is another one, Ghoul Garden from Unearthly, and this looks nice. I just feel like this is releasing a little early. This almost looks like this should be releasing in like 2 or 3 months in September for the fall season. You know, the colors, not to say that you shouldn't use any color any time of the year you want. It's just kind of surprising to see these kinds of colors right at the brink of summer. The palette, I have to say, looks exciting, particularly that bluish shade. Now this photo does look like it has a filter on it, so maybe this palette doesn't even look like this. Okay, getting back into the look using Singe E06 in this blue and putting it here. Let's talk about these. 15 metallic shades releasing from Shine. I haven't seen a good swatch of these, and in this photo, it literally could have just been one shade. Can you tell the difference here? I know you can't, so Shine, if you're really trying to sell your stuff, do a better job. Okay, I saw this one. Vice Pro Midsummer Lumière Étendue, and I feel like I've seen this before. Is it just me? Didn't this release in the past? Or am I living in a deja vu world? I don't know. $44, not something I'm excited about because very neutralish. I have these shades in 10 other brands. I could dupe this 5 times over, but the brand is a brand I would like to try at some point for colorful shades. And yes, beauties, one other thing, I'm not wearing nails. I'm giving my nails some time to breathe and get oxygen in. Let's use Electric Multichrome Sterling from, obviously from the pan. You can say that it's a Cleona. I'm gonna use it in this area, so let me quickly use some specular. Now, in order to see the multichrominess of these shades, you want to use it on a relatively large curved surface. The smaller the surface is, the less curve it's going to capture, so it's going to be difficult for you to even see the shifts. I think it goes really well with this whole ensemble. I really like that. I think it's very mermaid vibes, and it's very summery, and it's very colorful and gorgeous. So before the end of the video, I always bring the camera to show you the look from close up, and this shade has a very, very obvious sort of silvery shift. And I'm saying that because I think you might be seeing most of the teal shift because it has a teal and a silver shift. Pretty unique. Okay, the next thing I want to say is something that I'm not super happy about, and this is from Simply Posh. They released this photo. Now, before you get into conclusion, these are not new palettes that are releasing. These are palette concepts that they've had in the past that evidently never made it to production. And as someone who's an artist on the side and who loves putting palettes together, I really understand the whole concept of creating things and then trying to constantly make it better. And a lot of times you end up with something that is dramatically different from what you started with. Now, what they have said in this post is that they're not going to restock any of their older palettes. And this really breaks my heart because I have not picked a few of their older stuff that I would have loved to own. Maybe this is actually a good thing for my pocket of coming from the standpoint of a low buy, but you all know and have seen how much I use Simply Posh in my duping videos because they have good quality mattes particularly and pretty unique shades of mattes. So I was totally looking forward to them restocking a few of their past palette, Cozy Cabin, Northern Lights, or even the last one that was sort of for the winter. I don't remember the name. I'll put a photo up. I don't think any of these are available on their site anymore. I don't think they're planning on restocking anything anymore because they said they were going to focus on the new ones. And this definitely breaks my heart. But I would love to hear your thoughts about it. Now, I have to say, I don't like Simply Posh's shimmers, but I know they have reformulated it. If you've used Simply Posh shimmers in the past year when the reformulation happened, have they changed? Because in the past they used to dry up. And that was the main reason why I forewent buying any of these palettes. Okay, I finished the look, trying to make it even more mermaidy. I normally don't wear this shade lipstick because I don't think it looks the best on me. Let me know what you think, but it kind of gives me the doll effect, right? Now last, but definitely not least, is the palette that I find so yummy and beautiful. Should I dupe? Let me know. Artitudes Cosmetics palettes, Arcana palette. I'm definitely here for this palette. Although I feel like it's a little too similar to their Roses and something. Don't remember the name. Dead Roses? Beautiful Roses? I'll put the photo. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Beautiful, beautiful palette. And they're now selling more of their empty magnetic palettes. You all know what I feel about these. I already talked about these. Plastic, hell no. Y'all, as someone who has had a lot of makeup accidents, if this palette with a bunch of pans in it fall, you're toast. That whole thing probably needs to go in the trash. On a second and third look, I can totally dupe this palette. I have all of these shades multiple times over. There's nothing special that I see that I don't have. Like, for example, that greenish shade I can use Sterling for. The shade that I just put here. Yeah, there's a few shades in here that I can literally pick out of what I used for duping this one. So I could definitely dupe this palette. And $60 for 16 pans. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like it's a little pricey, even if you use someone's code. Also bringing the camera closer to show you this look from close up. So let me know down below if there is anything here that you could not say no to, or if you used any other logic to talk yourself out of buying anything. Trust me, the rest of us need as many ammunitions as we can. Now we're gonna do our third look. Everything you saw so far are from a couple of weeks ago, and now we're gonna get to the brand new makeup releases. As always, I have a coffee because I need, and our candle is pumpkin spice. Hey y'all, I was at TJ Maxx yesterday, and guess what? They already have Halloween stuff, and it's not even August yet. In fact, it's barely mid-July. So hey, if they can do it, I can do it. And I love pumpkin spice. If you didn't know, which means that if you didn't know, you're probably new here, so welcome. Also, the channels that I'm using for this video are all below in the description box. Natasha Denona mini gloom palette is here, you all. $27 for 5 pans. No. Also, I can dupe this palette. Also, this palette is great for the fall. Why is it releasing now? We're having something sneak peeking from Cosmic Brushes. The palette's called Smolder, and it's going to be launching on the 25th. So maybe by the time this video goes up, maybe they've even revealed it. I feel like this is going to be a cool toned neutrally palette. And if that's the case, not for me. Also, Cosmic Brushes is not magnetic. You know I'm not here for that. If you don't know, you can watch my video where I talk about like things that I'm prioritizing for this year. I'll tag it. Moving on, we have Adepts, this new one, EBE. Well, I've been away. I have not even really looked at what's releasing, so this is like, wow, nice. And yeah, the palette's pretty, but Adept continues to just have 5 matte shades, and you all know I'm not here for that because matte is what makes diversity of looks for me, right? Like, I'm not a mostly shimmer on my eye kind of a person. So when you don't have a lot of variety of matte shades in a palette, you are bound by what's in the palette. Honestly, when I look at this palette, the only things that I gravitate towards are the shimmers, but I'm not gonna go buy a palette just for shimmers. I'm also not here for Adept's new packaging style that is very Natasha Denona-esque. Not here for plastic. If I drop this palette, it's just never gonna be the same. So nope, not happening. We have this Dragon's Garden Beautiful from CXC Labs. Yeah, this is a brand I would like to test at some point, but not this minute. We also have Shine by SD's Dreamline Crystals. Okay, this looks pretty shifty. Going on the wish list. because you all know I need a job before I can actually buy things at this point. And you all know how much I like Shine by SD. It is definitely a priority brand because they do mostly singles. In my video where I talk about my low buy for this year, I talk about what I'm prioritizing. So, you know, these kinds of brands that release a lot of very different kind of singles are the brands that I'm prioritizing. I'll tag that video for you all. Fearless palette has restocked from DD's Signature, and you all know how much of a sucker I am for these shades, particularly that True Red. And you all have told me this is a great palette, amazing color payoff, and DD's Signature is magnetic. I just can't bring myself to buy makeup right now, you know, without a job. It's gonna go into like 9 months that I haven't had a job, and I don't know how much longer it's gonna go. And beauties, I have to say this. So Sydney Grace had its Christmas in July sale last week. You all know how much I love Sydney Grace. It's one of the brands that I'm like using almost in every duping video because they have fantastic colorful matte quality, and shout out to TBONTB for telling me about them a few years ago that got me to actually try them. So on the last day when they had singles on sale, I went on the site and I created this whole order with a lot of the singles that were on my wish list that I really wanted to buy. But beauties, I could not bring myself to buy them. I just couldn't check them out because I don't have a job. It absolutely makes no sense when you don't have a job to spend money on something that's not a necessity. That money needs to cover absolute necessities. Groceries, gas, things that might get me closer to getting a job. They're going to have the Christmas in July sale next year. Hopefully I have a job by then. And maybe they even have a very nice discount during the holidays, which are kind of approaching very, very fast. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. I will have a job by then and I can buy them then. We have a few things from Holo Taco that I haven't gotten a chance to talk about. First one is their 6th anniversary collection. This is pretty particularly that black magnetic one. Going on the wish list. Going on the wish list, y'all. We also have these beauties. Another collab with Freya. Gorgeous. This color combo, so yummy. Particularly that deep blue shade, y'all. Like, I can't even say. Do you all know if the square pans, or the rectangular pans, I mean, do you all know if those are also magnetic? If you do, let me know below, because with a gigantic collection the size of mine, I will never need large pans. And the other thing that I just noticed is the red. So yummy, so yummy. You all know I don't have a lot of red mattes, and it's a rare shade. True red matte, not cool toned, not blending into orange. This is the Desert Bloom palette from Sydney Grace. They released this during their Christmas in July sale, and they had some deals associated with this palette. Obviously too late to be talking about that, but pretty palette, just super neutral. And honestly, I can dupe this palette with my Sydney Grace singles. So definitely don't need. Friends, I just primed my eyes off camera with behind the scenes from Lorac. I didn't want to take camera time to do that. Let's talk about this next one, which is a new palette from Beauty Bay. One of my favorite brands is called Desert Haze. Pretty palette. Have they changed their pan size? Because this looks a little bit different size-wise from the regular 20 pan palettes that they've been releasing. Otherwise, pretty, but pretty neutral. Definitely can dupe, and in fact can dupe so much that I'm not even excited about duping it. But you all, I'm continuously excited about the fact that Beauty Bay releases its palettes with a reasonable price tag of $22 for these many shades. And I know from experience that Beauty Bay mattes particularly are fabulous quality, and shimmers I've never had any issues with. Yo, let's get into the look. I'm going to use some cosmic brushes. And by the way, I am continually not doing nails, giving my nails some time to breathe. I haven't done nails in over a month at this point, but we do have some nail stuff other than the hollow taco that I talked about. Some new ones we're going to talk about. Let's do something a little bit different. I'm going to use this green. I'm saying different because this green is one of the few shades in this palette that is warm toned. And beauties, the reason I kept the earlier videos in this video, and you know, because somebody might say, well, those are no longer new makeup, why are you talking about them, is because you all have constantly asked for new eye looks. So hey, I wanted to post the other looks. I also wanted to de-influence you if you haven't bought those palettes. Okay, fabulous. Right. I'm now going to use a Divina brush. This is D108 in this purple. This is from a Colourpop palette. I think this is from Lilac You a Lot. And yes, beauties, look at this. I know we've been expecting a lot more from Colourpop from the color story and like constantly releasing stuff perspective, but just look at the quality and the pigmentation. And should I say, y'all, this palette when it released was like $10, maybe even $9. Purple and green can muddy up because purple is red and blue and green is yellow and blue. So yeah, it's gonna give you that combination of yellow, blue, and red, which is all primary colors mixed, which is gonna give you muddying. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll tag my color theory video below. But you know, generally when you're wondering if colors are gonna muddy up or if they muddy up on your eyes and you're not sure why they muddied up, that video should explain it pretty well for y'all. Also, when you have these kinds of shades that might muddy together, you don't want to really mix them because that's going to make it even worse. So you want to kind of put them next to each other. We have more Beauty Moon. I know I talked about a whole lot of Beauty Moon earlier in this video. So this is Aurora Spell, pretty palette, but I can dupe with what I have in here. We also have Profusion and Peanuts 75th Anniversary Collection. Oh my god. You all know how much I love Snoopy. I love that mirror. But you know, if I had a job, you know, maybe it's a good thing that I don't have a job because then I'm not buying stuff that I could live without. But so cute. That's the thing. These kinds of things get you, right? Talked about it in my overconsumption video tagged. Objectively, if you remove Peanuts association with these products, they literally have nothing to do with Snoopy. But now that they're associated, I kind of want it. Yeah, I'm de-influencing myself. Dandelions Co. friends. They have a few palettes I think that they've released that I've never gotten a chance to talk about. This is one of them, of Siren and Sorrow, which is very nice. Dandelions Co. is absolutely a brand I want to try this year if I have a job. Like, everything should go with the caveat of if I have a job. If I don't have a job, I probably should focus on paying rent and groceries instead of things that I already have plenty of. But if there's income coming, they're definitely a brand that I would like to try. Even the colors in this palette look pretty nice. We talked about a few other things from Look Healthy Store. These are some more official Yeezy. Is that how you say it, or is it Yeezy? Cloud Garden Collection, Mountain Mist, and Quiet Words. Both look like they're magnetic. Pretty. Particularly that neon green. Or neon, I don't know, yellow green. Also, you all have been telling me these have good quality, so definitely something I would want to try for myself. The other question, have the price of these gone up since the whole China tariff thing? Let me know, because I think Look Healthy Store is made in China or shipping from China. MBA Cosmetics is Synergy 12-pan palette. I would like to try MBA Cosmetics again at some point. I've already reviewed some of their singles, multi-chrome singles. I have that video. I'll tag it for you all below. And I haven't used their products in a couple of years, so I'm open to retrying them. Is it going to be this palette or not? Obviously, it's going to depend on when it's going to reveal. And actually, it says this is a full iridescent duochrome palette. So no, I have some of the best iridescent multichromes in the market that are sitting on the shelf, getting closer and closer to expiration dates. So I'm not going to go buy more stuff. In fact, I had a few palettes of this kind that I sold off because I was just not using them. We have this from Question Beauty. Nice concept. This reminds me of a palette I've seen before. And the fact that the packaging is plastic, no. I never got a chance to talk about this Sugar Drizzle's Gummy Worms palette. And this is another example of what I was just saying about the Peanuts collection. I love gummy worms. I love gummy stuff. Does any of you like gummy stuff? Write down below if you like gummy stuff. So this totally gets me. Even this photo, like I see those gummies and I'm like, ah. But I can dupe this palette. It's duochromes. I don't think, yeah, this is all duochromes. And it's an all shimmer palette. Who uses all shimmer palettes anymore? For $40. No. Let's continue with the look. I am going to use a little bit. Oh, this is just a Morphe brush. I honestly don't even know if Morphe is selling. Is Morphe even selling stuff anymore? I don't even know. So no point in telling you what I'm using. I'm going to go into the deep purple. I'm using it to just deepen out this outer area. It will be blended in a second. I'm just bringing it down. And I'm using the brush I used with the lighter purple to blend this and also blend the lower lash. You could also use one of the light blues to blend it out because blue and purple go together. So that's going to give you a different kind of a look. I didn't want to make it super colorful. Talking about colors, beauties, this next few things, I'm going to pray to the gods to get me that job because yeah, Clionadh, everybody, is sneak peeking something that they say is going to be a collection releasing in August. And there looks to be an eyeshadow palette here. I can only hope, if I'm not going to get a job, for this eyeshadow palette to be very unexciting and no multichromes, okay? Because otherwise, someone needs to come and take away my wallet. And it also seems like they're going to have some nail polish releases. So yeah, very, very, very curious and excited. And now that we're talking about Clionadh, while we haven't talked, friends, Clionadh released a whole lot of nail polishes. I think like 5 or 6 collections. Let's talk about them. One of them is Electro Slick nail lacquers, magnetic, gorgeous, yummy, and colorful. Then the next one is Static Slick, also very beautiful, magnetic, and gorgeous. Then we have their holiday countdown. They released this. I already have a video about this where I unboxed the holiday advent calendar. So these are the shades that were in that advent calendar, and I even swatched them. If you're curious, I'll tag that for you all below. They've also sneak peeked their prehistoric collection, which is so cute. Y'all, if you didn't know, I had a dinosaur phase when I was like preteen. So I was infatuated with dinosaurs. Yeah, so anytime I see dinosaurs or anything dinosaur themed, it takes me back to those good old times. This is super cute. It looks like it has 4 shades. They mentioned on their Instagram this is an exclusive for their Polish and Beauty Expo. I love to think this is gonna be released after. One other thing about Clionadh is that they've sneak peeked that they're going to release the shades in their Deep Sea Treasures palette as individual shades. So you can purchase them individually. I have a review of that palette. I've even duped shades in that palette. I'll tag both of those videos for you all below. This is a great palette that has amazing variety of multichromes. If you're not a huge multichrome person with a gigantic collection, this is a nice palette to pick up. I think that's everything as far as Clionadh is concerned. Let's also talk about this one. This is not a new thing, but we haven't talked in a while. This is an original nudes magnetic 20 pan palette from Bella Beaute Bar. I was so excited when they revealed the packaging. I assumed this is going to be summery and colorful, but no. thankfully is honestly one of the most boring things I've seen. Thankfully, because I have no desire to even talk about it, let alone talk about whether I'm going to buy it or even dupe it. This Alter Ego palette, I think this is what gold, Natasha Not Gold dupe. Amazing that Alter Ego is providing options for people so they don't have to go spend, I don't know, $70, $80, $90 to buy the OG palette that could really be reduced to like £5. But this palette, even from this image, looks insanely light for my skin tone. These shades are not going to show up. There's like literally just one deep matte in this palette, which, yeah, not for me. Y'all, there's so many things releasing that I have not talked about. Let's quickly talk about Cobra from Clarity Cosmetics. Why do I feel like this palette revealed in the past or existed in the past and this is a redo? Is it a redo? It says this is launching on, I mean, this is already launched and is available, but I feel like this existed years ago. Don't know. Moving on. Let's do a little bit more of the look. I'm going to use Base Booster from the good old BH. And this is going here. Okay, y'all. I'm going to use this beauty. This is Vector from Glam Shop. This is one of those very unique shades. And it has a green shift. It has a purple shift. So putting it next to these two shades totally makes sense because it's going to blend into the green, it's going to blend into the purple. And then I'm going to just blend this part with hand. This is one of those super flaky shades, so you really want to use a tacky base for it if you bought it. Also, I was thinking about doing something in my inner corner, but honestly, this shade is so intense. I don't want to take away. And I've mentioned time and time again that in these videos, I don't want to do something that if you're replicating, you would feel a little uncomfortable, because I personally feel like when eye looks are just so intricate and so much, I would feel uncomfortable. And my threshold for discomfort is pretty high. Hence the look. Okay, we have a few more things to go. One thing that I really liked, and you all, I want to dupe this palette, let me know what you think, is this one from Gourmand Girls. This already released $60, so Gourmand Girls is hiking up the price like everybody else. It's for sure neutral with a twist. It has, you know, different kinds of drinks. This palette I think was great for last year when everybody was doing cool tone neutral, but looking at the photo, not the swatches, it seems like it does have some more warm tone shades like the center green, like the yellow next to it. Now, as I've mentioned time and time again, the photos online are modified, so you know, you need to look around to make sure you're gonna receive what you expect to receive. Regardless, I think this is a beautiful palette. Gourmand Girls, to my knowledge, does not have magnetic pans. I have one of their palettes or two of their palettes, and mine doesn't have magnetic pans. They're from a few years ago. If they've changed that and now they have magnetic pans and you know, let the rest of us know below. Otherwise, for that reason or alone, I'm not picking up. Also, I can dupe this. Okay, y'all, the look is complete. I'm going to bring the camera closer, show you the look from close up at the end. The mascara that I used and the lip are below, and that's it. This is a collaboration with Ice Cream Beauty Box. Pretty, particularly the red one. Is this one also magnetic? I couldn't find that out. I love the variety of colors, and I think you can get a lot of different sort of eye looks from this. But of course, between this one and the other one that I talked about a little bit earlier, the other one is still the one that I would pick up. And $40 for 12 pans? That shouldn't become the norm. We mentioned the Desert Bloom palette from Sydney Grace. This is another palette that they revealed. It's called Cozy Cafe, also as part of their sale that was last week. Beautiful palette. I can dupe this one also with my Sydney Grace ones. But again, Sydney Grace palettes are all magnetic. So if these shades are missing in your singles and you want to have them so that you can use them to dupe palettes, this is possibly your chance. Not to go buy right now, but you know, just keep an eye on it in a sale, for a sale. This one caught my eyes, friends, and we talked about clarity. The Cobra one, and now this one, Glam and Go. This is pretty, but 20 pants for 60 something dollars. Don't like how we're normalizing that. Also, this reminds me of Vamp from Bella Beaute Bar. I have a dupe of it tagged below. Yeah, I see a lot of redundancies. I think some of you all told me that Clarity Cosmetics palettes are magnetic. Don't quote me on that. Write in the comments below if you know for sure. For the rest of us who might be curious, but definitely the palette's not for me. I can dupe this, and as I said, I've already duped dupes of this. I have 2 more things to talk about. I can't believe there's still 2 more things, y'all. First is Colourpalooza, a 1-month-old collection from Gloss Gods, which by, in beauty industry standard, that's already centuries old. But pretty, I'm not going to go buy. I don't buy palettes that are not magnetic, and these are coming from another country. I have to pay shipping and all of that, but they're very gorgeous. Let's now talk about our last item. These are not brand new. These were revealed and released 2 weeks ago. I know there is a whole lot of reviews of them already available if you haven't bought them and you're curious about them, but I know for a fact I don't need these in my life. Not anything particular, it's just I can do all of these. None of these stand out. Another thing is that in different photos, I see palettes that look kind of dramatically different. I'm going to put 2 photos adjacent to each other here for you so you can see, like in one photo it looks a little bit more like some of the shades are red and burgundy, and in the other photo they look like they are brown. And these are all from the site. And that always happens with photos online, so it's kind of difficult to know what's true to color. Separate from the color confusion, I think the only exciting thing about these is the fact that the price for 16 pans is not $60+, but it's $43. But then the question is, what's the quality? Because I personally didn't have the best of experience when I used Odin's Eye. Now, that comes with the caveat that the last time I used Odin's Eye was at least 2 years ago. So brands go through all kinds of overhauls. They might have dramatically improved their quality, so maybe that doesn't even mean anything, but still, these are not something that I look at and think I'm gonna have to go buy them right now. I also don't think you need these. You probably have these. Let's be honest. And with that said, beauties, we come to the end of this super long video. If you enjoyed this video and you watched it this far, please give a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to write to me in the comments below if you kind of wanted any of these and you ended up not buying it, or if you kind of wanted any of these and you ended up buying it. Write to me in the comments below. So let me bring the camera closer and show you the look from close up. I love you all. I'm so excited to be back. Have an awesome day, an awesome week, and until next time, bye.